Hi, my name is Sycra, and today I'm going to be doing a critique of a picture one of the forum members posted in the critique section of the Sycra.net forums. Okay, so let's see. In this image, what's working? Well, I like the way you've got the clothes down. That's quite cool. And this is nice how you have the belt kind of going like this, so it looks like we're looking up at the person. But then there's some other mistakes, primarily with anatomy and perspective, and some foreshortening things like this. So we'll deal with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've made a duplicate, as you can see, of your image. I'm just going to lower the opacity so I can kind of see what you had and then work from there. Okay, so first things first, let's put our horizon in. And since we're looking up at him, we're going to get a low horizon. So that's something to remember if you want to be looking up at something and you want it to look scary, ominous, powerful. You want to have a low horizon. If you want to be looking down at something, you want to have a high horizon. So if you want something to look weak, you would have a higher horizon. So let's get a low horizon in here. And let's put in a vanishing point. Okay, so we have a little bit of perspective going on. Now let's see what we can do with, let's say, first thing I want to put in is this. I'm assuming this is, he's on a ship. He's a pirate. He's holding a rope, and this is like the edge of the ship. So let's put that in first. So here we have the edge of the ship. Now you can see I gave it a bit of a curve. Yours is a bit, seems to go this way, and it goes this way. And that's probably because you were making, yeah, well, it looks like you were making like short scratchy lines like that to try and define things. What I'd recommend is really trying to practice making big strokes with your arm, like that. Even if they're wrong in places, just by doing that over and over again, eventually you'll get more accurate, and then you'll get much smoother lines. So okay, so we have the ship here. Now I want to generally place him. So I'm gonna get where his foot is, and see, because the perspective kind of tells us how that foot's gonna go, and actually it's gonna be going in this direction. I'm gonna have his foot coming out. Now I'm kind of working in like a stick figure mode, so I'm gonna have his stick leg coming, and his other leg is going down here somewhere. And note how I've curved the pelvis, I guess. That's in keeping with this, because we're looking up at him, so everything's going to get curved more and more as we go up. Just remember that. It's not going to be straight across. So then, let's get his rib cage in there. Where his shoulders are going to go. And his head, he's kind of looking down. Well, actually, it looks like he's looking off to the side somewhere. But in this image, it gets a bit confusing then, because what we want to see is what he's looking at. So I'm going to actually change it a bit so that he's looking towards us or over this edge, so it just makes more sense as an image. It reads like a story. So I'm going to have him looking down a bit, and then he's holding on to this rope. So I'm going to give him arm holding on, and he has a sword. And notice how this arm, it's just like one line. I didn't bother going this way and then this way. I like to make sure I have the general flow of things first. So even with this leg, I'd rather simplify it like one line, like a big noodle shape, than two broken lines. And this is going to help me with getting rhythm and things like that in my image. Now with his other arm, it's kind of being held out here, and if we try and imagine where his arm is going, just simplifying his elbow into like a circle, his shoulder into a circle, and his hand in a circle, so that will help me figure out where you've placed his arm. This is kind of awkward if you look at it. I think this is supposed to be coming towards us, so it's got some foreshortening. So the thing is, let's say you want that to be coming towards us. First thing you want to do is put where the hand is. Where do you want the hand to be? So let's say I want his hand to be, see, if I put it here, it's kind of just the same as this hand, and I kind of want to vary it so that this hand's doing something and this hand's doing something else. Makes the image a bit more interesting. And if I was doing this image from scratch, I might put this forward hand here and this hand here. And the reason I do that is because this hand's kind of going back, right? It's going in space backwards. This hand's coming forward, and this leg is going back, and this leg is coming forward. Now, having both the arm forward and the leg forward, sometimes it's not as dynamic as if you have a twist where the leg comes forward and then this arm comes forward. And just to quickly demonstrate what that would look like, let's say this leg is forward like so, and then this arm is forward. And this hand is going back to grab that rope. Then you have this kind of thing going on with this nice S-curve. It's a bit hard to see. Yeah, I'll just do it on another layer here. So have this leg forward and this arm going back, this arm forward. And you see how you get this kind of dynamic pose, or more dynamic pose. But anyway, for the sake of this critique, I'm going to stick with your pose and just raise the hand a bit so that this hand is kind of going back and it's a bit lower. Because see, these are kind of level, and something you want to try and do is just make as much variety as you can in your image. So I'm going to bring this hand forward. So now I know where the shoulder is and this hand is. Just going to join it with a line. And I'm going to work everything else on top of this. So now we have like a basic skeleton structure down. And I can put the sword in there. Now remember that we're looking up at him, so the sword is going to be, we'll see more of the underside of that sword, and blade's going to go up there somewhere. And then I'm just going to push this hand more back just so I can get more of a twist in here. So I'm going to raise this shoulder and lower this shoulder, then have this hand go back in space like that. Now in the future, I'd like to see where this rope is going. Probably get some more description here, like what is this? Is this a ship? It's kind of hard to tell right now, but if you added some things in the background, maybe a plank, a crow's nest or something, some sails, could get a better idea of where this is taking place. But anyway, okay, so we have our basic skeleton. I'm gonna lower the opacity and create a new layer. So now we can work on the shapes of this guy. So now with foreshortening, what we want to do is, see how you've got it here, you kind of drew in this leg. Everything's very boxy, and then you drew these lines to show that this is coming forward, which isn't entirely wrong. I mean, well, it's understandable why you would do that. But if you think about it, with this line's coming here and here. So let's say this was a shape. Well, that means his other leg starts here. So then where's his pelvis? See, his body's coming here. This leg, this part should be over here. So a way to remedy that is to start from where the leg appears from. So I'm gonna just increase the opacity of the skeleton a bit so we can better see. And don't need that. Okay, so let's start from here. So here's where his leg's gonna come out from. We have this pelvis, so we know that's where it's coming out from. And then here's where it's gonna end. Same with the hand. You draw where it starts and where it ends. Like we put the shoulder in, then we put the hand, and then try and connect those two. So we'll get something that looks like that. Now I always try and describe that by putting in these kind of lines, if I'm working with shapes anyway. Just want to give myself a better understanding of how that shape actually is, how that form turns. So we have one leg doing that, then we have the other leg going back here somewhere. This edge. We have the knee here. It's going to an ankle here. So I kind of screwed up on this foot, but that's not a problem because I found my mistake. And if you've seen my how to draw feet, you know I always start with like a triangle shape. I'm going to do that. Find where the heel is. Build that boot, I guess, and he's got some kind of thing around near where his ankle is, so let's get that in. So okay, now we have that leg in place. Got a boot. So if you're doing this traditionally, basically you just draw very light and then you erase that. And then let's get his body in. So notice how I'm not just drawing a straight line from here to here, and you haven't really done that either. See, you've got that curved line, and that's great. That's exactly what you should be doing, because that's showing that the body is a rounded form, which it is. So add that, and I'm gonna just get a basic shape in here, get the shoulder, the elbow, the hand. Make this hand bigger so it looks like it's coming towards us. Kind of join these circles that I'm creating. And now a lot of it has to do, successful foreshortening that is, a lot of it has to do with what's in front and what's behind. So the thing is with these guidelines, notice how things are just kind of overlapping. What you want to do after you get the basic shape in is make sure that things in front overlap things behind. So this, the hand is in front of the forearm, which is in front of the arm, which is in front of the shoulder. So I'm gonna make sure it works like that, where like the forearm's kind of overlapping this arm, which overlaps that, and then we have the other arm back here. See, I did this noodly thing, right? So around halfway is where the elbow is going to be. So we can put that in, and let's go in back here somewhere. Now that we have the structure, we can build on top of that. So, just gonna start putting in the details. His neck's here, and notice how I had the neck behind this chest, because this chest is in front and we're looking up, so we actually wouldn't see too much of his neck. Let's go back here. His head's looking down. Because his head's tilted down, this is going to be kind of curving, or maybe it's a bit more straight. And he has that hat. Crazy hair. Maybe that head's a bit too big. In fact, it definitely is way too big. So that's okay. Just erase it and do it again. Making this head smaller, it's going to make it look like he's more powerful, more scary. Have his beard, his crazy hair, and his hat thing. Just noticing things as I go along, that maybe the leg needs to be moved up a bit. Maybe I made the torso a bit too high. Those are some, I don't know, just some minor stuff. Okay, so now let's give him some clothes. You can see that this goes over the elbow. Like if I drew the rest of his arm in, sure it's coming a bit over the elbow, so I'll try and include that. And I'm using these circly type shapes. I'm not just drawing, see, I'm not going to do this to find where this is. I'm not going to go like this or like this. I'm using a line that actually goes the whole way around that arm. Thing is, I just darken one side of that so that you end up only seeing that side really. But that way I make sure that it looks like this curve is going properly into space. So get that in. Just want to reestablish that center line so I know where to put this. See, what I'm saying is, like, if I had a center line here, I know how much of that V needs to be on either side. So and his shirt kind of poofs out here. I think that's pretty cool. So I actually want to exaggerate that. Give him a really poofy shirt. Tend to think with things that if you're going to put them in, just go a bit crazy with them. Like his hair. If he's going to have crazy hair, let him have crazy hair. You have this hand holding a rope, and just give some context to that. Let's just put something in the background, doesn't really matter what, just to show that there's more going on here. Add a bit of detail, maybe there's some wood here. Okay, so now we have the basic shapes in. Now we have to build on top of that again. So it's just really this thing of getting things down and then building on top of it. And if I was starting this illustration from scratch, actually what I'd be doing is a bunch of little thumbnail illustrations first, and I'm not going to show that in this critique because that's going to be way too long. But yeah, it's really just like a building process, and you want to get your foundation and then build from it. So if it was like a house, you'd start with the foundation, then you'd build the walls, and you'd get the roof, right? You're not going to start with a detail like the roof and then, well, that's just going to fall down, and then got a big mess. Person's all sad. What have you done? And here's the husband. He's just kind of like, oh no. Doesn't really want to look at her. Just, well, I had no foundation. Okay, anyway. So moving on. From here, it's just a matter of detailing, and I'm not going to take it too far, but just show you what I mean. So, like, you want to do the face, so we move in closer, and I have to move a bit further so I can get this all in screen, and you'd find where his beard goes. Or actually, first, okay, you'd find where his eyes would go, roughly in the middle of the face. I like to draw the eye sockets and get his beard in here. get his hair. And this is great, how you gave him a hairy chest. It's awesome. So I'm going to include that. And his poofy clothes and whatever. You know, so you're just going to build on top of what you have. And now, of course, it's not going to be that easy because, like say with the hands, you still have to know how to draw hands, and that's still going to require a lot of work and practice. And that's why even if someone shows you some things, like for instance, maybe this critique had some advice about foreshortening that you can use, a lot of it you might not be able to use it anyway. Not right away, until you've built your skills up a bit more. But anyway, I think you get the idea of building things up. Okay, so that's it for this critique.